She was sent back home from school because she didn't have 1,500 naira for a textbook, and that was when she fell into the hands of a monster. So this child, let's call her Blessing. Blessing was 12 years old when this story starts, and she attended a public school in Orita. And on this particular hot afternoon, she was sent home because she didn't come with her 1,500 naira for a textbook. When she got home, no one was home. Her mother was in a hairdressing stall, while her father was an electrician, was on a trip to Lagos. Both parents are just basically hustling to make ends meet. So this young girl stood outside of the house in the blazing sun, and a neighbor which their family trusted saw her and invited her in. That neighbor was Pastor Oluwole Jonathan, the shepherd of CAC Land of Mercy. He asked her why she was home at that time, and he told her that it was God 1-5, so he invited her to come and stay in his house. At first, she said she hesitated, and then he asked her, "Am I a stranger to you?" And then she was like, "No." So she followed him inside. He saw the way she was moving and asked what had happened. She said she was having serious headache, so he brought her some medication. And then she said, "My mother said I should not collect medicine from anybody." But then he asked again, "Am I a stranger to you?" And then he forced her to take the medications. At first, her eyes began to blur. When she woke up, she saw blood on her private part, and he told her, "Don't tell anyone. If you do, you will lose your life." Whenever she got worried and wanted to tell her parents about this, especially her mother, she remembered that warning that he gave to her, and she would keep quiet. She lived with this fear and the weight of a crime too heavy for her own tender age. But then, her frail body began to change. She started by complaining of headaches and her foot was swelling. Her mother didn't really think it to be anything. They were just giving her Panadol until one neighbor began to notice and said, "Let's do a test for this child." So they bought a pregnancy test kit and they tested the child. The woman had to take it to a church neighbor that she knows and said, "Please let me check this thing." And he confirmed that this child was pregnant. So the woman took her child to the hospital for a doctor's verdict to actually make a different test, and it still came out the same. She was pregnant. The mother was deeply pained. She was even sent back to her father's house, and she cried every night thinking, how would that small child be able to carry this weight? When the daughter finally opened up to who had touched her father was in shock, because Pastor Oluwole Jonathan was no stranger. Matter of fact, Pastor Oluwole Jonathan was his own spiritual mentor, and both of their wives were actually good friends. The father reported the matter to the CDA chairman, who then called the police. He was arrested but never admitted to sleeping with this child, nor even admitting to owning the pregnancy. He was like, "How will I sleep with a child that is old enough to be my own daughter?" Then DNA samples were taken and the results confirmed that the pastor was the father of the child. It was at this point he admitted to the whole act. But by then, he had been transferred to the state's criminal investigations department. The case drew so much attention from different organizations like FIDA, International Federation of Women Lawyers, who took this work as pro bono, and Spring Center, an NGO, covered the entire medical expenses, financial assistance, and counseling for this child. After months of hearing this case at the court in Ilaro, Pastor Jonathan was sentenced to 21 years imprisonment. But that was not the end of everything. The pains were still there. It didn't end with a court judgment. Matter of fact, for this girl, she was never the same again. They tried integrating her back into school. She kept on sleeping out and straying away from school. They had to relocate to a new area because of all the stigma they were facing. This child still repeated the same behavior of leaving school to go and be with one woman in the neighborhood. When she was asked why, she said she kept on hearing a voice that tells her to leave school. Sometimes she even disappear for days, and then they'll get a call from police station that they had found the child. So they decided to withdraw her from school and register her to learn tailoring very close to the house so that the mother can keep watch on her.